going to look at the process in Oracle SQL of creating a database table, adding some records to it, updating those values, deleting records from a table, and finally deleting an entire table from a database. So let's start by creating a new table, and we use the SQL keyword create to do that. And I want to create a table. So table again is another reserved SQL keyword, followed by what name I want to give this table. I'm going to give this table a name of employee. And then I open a parentheses, and basically everything that I put inside of these parentheses are going to be attributes of this particular database table. So let's start with our first attribute, which is going to be employee ID. And I'm going to specify that this is an integer field and that this is a primary key. Last thing I need for each attribute in my database table is whether this column allows null values. And a primary key should never allow null values, so not null is the proper term there. Then we put a comma, and we'll move down to a new line to specify our next attribute in our employee table. And let's do a last name field in our table, and let's make this a varchar, so a variable length character field with a maximum length of 50. And this is not a primary key, and we do not want to allow null values for the employee's last name. Next field I need is a hire date. And hire date is going to have a date data type. It is not a primary key, and hire date should not allow null values. Next, gender of the employee, and this will be a char field. Why? Because the only values that this will have is M or F, male or female, and therefore we only need to use one character in the database, or 1 byte of memory to store this gender for each employee. And let's not allow null values for that one. Next, each employee will have a salary. Salary is numeric, it's currency, and so I don't want to use an integer type field for this, since I'm going to have possibly pennies and cents in the employee's salary. So I'm going to choose 11 and 2. So we can allow for some pretty large salaries here. We're setting ourselves up for the future. 11 characters total, and 2 of those can occur after the decimal place. So the largest possible salary would be $999,999,999.99. And salary, we will not allow null values. And my final attribute is going to be department ID. And this is going to be a data type of small int, since I don't imagine we'll have more than 32,000 different departments. And let's say that we will allow null values here. Maybe if we have a new hire that hasn't been assigned a department yet, and that's why we will allow null values here. Now, department ID is a foreign key in this database table, but we do not need to specify it by typing in foreign key here. Those relationships will specify when we're doing join queries and the like. So we're done here. I'm going to bring over this closing parentheses and my semicolon. And so now if I execute this SQL statement, I should receive a message that here it is. I have an employee table that has been created. And I can see that one of 2 ways. First way is by running a select query. So if we select everything from our newly created employee table and run this, execute this query, I should see a query result. It's pretty boring because I don't have any records, but here are in fact those 6 attributes that I declared for my employee table. Another place I can see it is over here in my list of tables, which right now it's showing as empty, but if I refresh this, I will now see that newly created employee table, and there it is. Here's all of those data types I specified, And if I click on data, I will see the data inside of this table, which again is empty. Next thing I want to do here is to add some data into this employee table. And we do that with the Sql Insert keyword. And so what do we want to do? We want to insert data into our employee table. And I open up a parentheses. And the first thing I need to specify is all of my attributes that are in this table. So employee ID, last name, sorry, not first name, hire date, gender, salary, and finally department ID. I close the parentheses here, but I'm not done. I now need to specify what values are going into these tables. So I need to match the same order. So the first thing that I type in here after this parenthesis is going to be the employee ID of my new record. And so this employee is going to have an ID of 90001. Next, I need to enter in this employee's last name, and this employee's last name is going to be Holmes. And Holmes I separate inside of single quotes because the last name is a char or a varchar data type. And so that is a string value. It's a combination of alphanumeric characters. Therefore, I need to surround that in single quotes. This right here, since employee ID is stored as an int, 90001 is in fact an int. So if I do not want to put single quotes around that. Next, hire date. With Oracle SQL, I need to prefix any date that I write in with this all caps date keyword. And so the hire date for Holmes is going to be 2010-01-15, which is the 15th of January 2010. And I close that off with a single quote. So we're using date the same way we do in select queries. If we have a where statement where we want all of the employees that were hired on a certain date, we need to specify this date. We use it the same way here inside of this values clause of our insert into statement. Next thing I need is, we've done employee ID, last name, and hire date. Next we need a gender, and so that gender is stored as a char, therefore I need to surround that inside of single quotes. Then a comma. Next, salary, let's set Holmes' salary to $70,000. And since that's a number field, we are acceptable doing this. We do not need single quotes, and even if I wanted to, I have 2 spaces after the decimal if need be. Finally, department ID is a small int, so let's just use 101 as this employee's department ID. I close off my parentheses, end the statement with a semicolon, and now when I run this, I'm missing a few commas here, I apologize about that. When I run this, you will see a message that one row has been inserted. Great, let's test that out by selecting everything from our employee table. And let's see that one record that I put in there. There it is. Here's our one record. Let's add 2 more records. And you might be thinking, is there a way we can add more than one record with one statement? And there is in Oracle SQL, but it's very convoluted and difficult. So I won't be demonstrating it here. And for the sake of saving some typing, I'm just going to copy and paste in my next insert statement. There it is. So I'm inserting this employee 90002 Watson with this other information. Let's run that. Here's my second row that's been inserted. And let's add in a third employee by copying and pasting another insert into SQL statement. Here is our third employee. And so if I run this statement, there's another row that's been inserted. And let's view our table again. And now I should see we have 3 records in our database. So we've created a table from scratch, and we have added some data to it. And now let's update data. Let's say that this Holmes employee has had a salary increase from $70,000 to $75,000. So instead of deleting this record and adding it again from scratch with the new data, we can use an update query or update statement in Oracle SQL. So that starts with the word update, followed by the name of the table that you want to update a record in. So we want to update something in our employee table. What do we want to do? We want to set the value of that salary. Salary here is one of our attributes in our table. We want to set the value of salary equal to 75,000. Now, if all I did was this and ran this, it would update the salary for all of the employees in this employee table. That's why these create and insert and update queries are very dangerous and require a lot of caution before you go on and execute these queries. So we don't want to set the salary of everybody to 75,000. We just want to set the salary to 75,000 for a particular employee. And so I'm going to specify a where statement, just like we would for a select query, where employee ID equals 90001. So now I will only update this particular row. And you might be thinking, well, could we have done where last name is Holmes? And yes, we could have, and that would work since we only have 3 records in this database. But if you're talking about a large company, you're probably going to have several employees that have similar last names. And so you don't want to set the salary of all employees with a particular last name to 75,000. It's probably one particular employee. So usually when you're doing an update query, your where statement should specify a primary key. Since employee ID is never going to have any duplicates here, there's never going to be another 90001 in this table. Therefore, that is our best bet for our where statement in this update query. Okay, so let's run that, and we get a message that says one row has been updated. Let's go back up here. I already have the select statement written, and run that, and now we can see that my salary for Holmes has been changed to 75,000. Next thing I want to demonstrate is how to delete a record from a table. So delete works a lot like update, where we need to specify which records in a where statement. So we want to delete from our employee table. Delete from the employee table. Up here in the update statement, it was just update employee. The delete statement, you need this keyword from, the name of our table. And what do I want to delete? I want to delete the record where, let's delete the record for Watson. So where employee ID equals 90002. So same question as before, could I have just done where last name equals Watson, and would that have deleted row 2? Yes, it would have. But again, you can assume that there would be more than one employee at the company with the last name of Watson, so that would be a dangerous query to run. We're going to run this and be safe with just deleting one record. And here we go, one row deleted. Let's run my select statement again to see that we now only have 2 records in our database table. We're missing employee ID 90002. And the final thing I want to demonstrate here is how to delete an entire table. How to delete an entire table. And so we don't use the keyword delete, which you'd think, well, we're deleting a table, aren't we? Yes, we are deleting a table, but there's a separate word we use for deleting a table, and that's drop. So drop table. Both of those are reserved SQL keywords, so they're both all in caps. And then I just need to specify the particular table that I want to delete or drop. And when I execute this, table employee has been dropped. So now if I try to run this query, I will get an error saying this table does not exist, and it doesn't exist because I deleted it. And even over here, once I refresh, you'll see that I now have no tables in my database.